Oh no! I forced children to mine coal, fed my people sawdust, sacrificed prisoners to ancient gods! All in the name of progress anyway. If you love that feeling, that delicious mix of guilt and efficiency, then congratulations! You're going to love this genre. City building survival games aren't just about laying down roads and watching villagers frolic. No. They're about making impossible choices, managing dwindling resources, and wondering whether or not you really need a functioning healthcare system when a second sawmill would be so much more useful. In this video, we're diving into the best city building survival games out there. Let's get into it. Frostpunk. Buckle up for Frostpunk, the most emotionally devastating city builder ever made. You're in charge of Earth's last city during a new ice age, where every decision is morally bankrupt. Should you allow child labor to keep the coal mines running? Sign that law forcing the sick to work? Start recycling corpses for fertilizer? I mean, the game doesn't judge you outright, but watching your citizens react to these choices will haunt you. At its core, it's a desperate struggle to keep your generator running as temperature plunges to 70 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere is incredible. The constant hiss of steam pipes, the distant cries of starving citizens, that ominous temperature gauge always threatening to kill everyone. Against a Storm. Against a Storm is like if someone said, let's take city building and make it a roguelike where it's always raining and everything kinda hates you. You play as the royal viceroy of a strange fantasy world, sent out to build little settlements in the middle of an unrelenting storm. Your mission? Expand the smoldering city's reach by braving the wilds, building colonies, and gathering resources, all while Mother Nature throws a temper tantrum every few minutes. Each run is different. You're dropped into a new biome with new challenges, you get different blueprints, different resources, and even different species to manage, such as beavers, lizards, and humans, each with their own likes and dislikes. RimWorld. RimWorld is less of a game and more of a storytelling machine powered by chaos and bad luck. You crash land on an alien planet with a few survivors, and your goal is to build a colony and eventually escape. Simple, right? Your colonists have personalities, grudges, medical conditions, and sometimes mental breakdowns because someone ate the last piece of chocolate. It's a mix of base building, survival, and emergent storytelling. One moment, you're researching solar panels and tending to a potato farm. And the next, a wild turkey is killing your best doctor while two colonists argue over bedroom sizes. Oh, and don't forget the pirate raids, toxic fallout, and manhunting squirrels. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and want to see more like it, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out the channel and lets me know you want more content like this. Alright, back to the video. Timberborn. Let me tell you about the most unexpectedly brilliant city builder out there, Timberborn. This city building game lets you manage a post-apocalyptic society of hyper-intelligent beavers. Yes, beavers, who are far more organized and industrious than most humans. You choose between different beaver factions, each with their own quirks, and get to work building dams, water systems, vertical cities, and cool little contraptions powered by water wheels. The big challenge though? Water. The game has this really neat drought cycle, where the river dries up for days and your precious crops and thirsty beavers could be in some serious trouble. So you're constantly planning for the next dry spell, storing water, managing food supplies, and trying not to panic when your riverbed turns into a giant dust bowl. Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress is legendary. It's the kind of game where you don't just build a base, you accidentally flood it with lava, lose your best brewer to a tantrum spiral, and then get eaten by a were-hedgehog. And somehow, that's a good run. You manage a bunch of dwarves digging into a mountain, mining resources, building complex systems, and trying to avoid a slow yet hilarious collapse of civilization. The graphics are famously, let's say minimalist, but once you get past the visuals, or better yet, play the Steam version with actual tile sets, you'll discover one of the deepest, most intricate simulation games ever made. Every dwarf has a backstory, personality, likes, and grudges. I mean, even the cats are simulated in terrifying detail. Empires of the Undergrowth. Empires of the Undergrowth is basically SimAnt, but cranked up with real-time strategy and a splash of insect warfare chaos. You play as a colony of ants trying to survive, expand, and dominate the underworld. And it's way more intense than it sounds. You dig tunnels, gather food, and manage workers and soldier ants while fending off spiders, beetles, and rival colonies. It's cute, until it turns into all-out insect war. The game blends colony management with strategic combat very well. You've got to plan your underground layout, build efficient paths, and react quickly when threats burst into your nest. Outside the nest, there are day-night cycles, predators, and some truly creepy crawlies lurking out in the grass. Banished. Banished is the kind of game that looks cozy and peaceful. Until you realize that one bad harvest means half of your town starves to death. You're building a small settlement in the wilderness with nothing but a handful of people in a dream. And keeping them alive is much harder than it looks. There's no combat, no enemies, no raiders, just you, nature, and your own decisions slowly snowballing into either thriving villages or winter starvation festivals. You manage everything. Food, firewood, houses, tools, clothes, you name it. If your blacksmith dies and you forget to train another, well, hope you enjoy your toolless citizens freezing to death while trying to chop wood. Banished is all about efficiency and planning. They are billions. They are billions is like someone took a cozy city builder, strapped a flamethrower to it, and threw it into a zombie apocalypse. You build a steampunk colony in a beautifully detailed world, gather resources, research tech, and slowly expand. All while an ungodly number of zombies are lurking just beyond the walls, waiting to flood in the second you let your guard down. The game is all about tension. You start out small, cautiously sending soldiers to clear nearby undead while trying to grow your population and infrastructure. But one little mistake, like a single zombie slipping through your defenses, and it's game over in seconds. And then there's the final wave. The billions in the title isn't just for flair. IXION. IXION is like if Frostpunk in a sci-fi movie had a very, very stressful baby. You're not just building a city, you're managing an entire space station hurtling through a ruined universe. After Earth goes kaboom, more or less, you're humanity's last hope, floating through the void aboard the Tikkun, trying to find a new home before your ship breaks apart or everyone loses their minds. The gameplay is part city builder, part survival sim, and part crisis management. You're juggling power, food, hull integrity, and worker sanity, all while exploring alien systems full of mystery, wreckage, and moral choices. Oh, and the game does not go easy on you. Every choice feels weighty. I mean, do you risk lives for resources? Do you push your workers to exhaustion or risk falling behind? Dawn of Man. Dawn of Man is like running your very own prehistoric village. I mean, minus the saber-toothed tigers trying to eat you. Actually, those are still here. Anyway, you start with a few hairy humans, some sticks, and the occasional mammoth herd, and your goal is to survive the brutal swings of nature while evolving your tribe through the ages. It's all about slow, careful progression. You begin with basic hunting and gathering, then gradually unlock farming, domestication, metalworking, and more. But it's not just a tech tree simulator. There's a real charm to watching your people build huts, tan leather, and fend off wolves with sharpened sticks. It's not overly complex, but it is satisfying to grow from a tiny, fragile little camp into a bustling Bronze Age town. Surviving Mars. You're in charge of building and managing a colony on Mars, which sounds cool. Until dust storms fry your solar panels, your colonists get depressed, and your oxygen tanks go boom. Now at first, you're sending in drones to set up the basics. Power, water, and those shiny dome habitats. But once the humans arrive, that is when the real chaos begins. Now you've got to balance food, health, morale, research, and that ever-present Martian oops factor. One wrong move and your whole colony could become a very expensive graveyard. What makes the game fun though is its mix of planning and panic. You get these peaceful moments of, watching your colony grow, then boom, meteor shower. Or a mysterious anomaly, or your colonists start a cult. Yeah, that can happen. Colony Survival. Colony Survival looks like Minecraft's slightly more strategic cousin who got into base building and tower defense. You're dropped into a chunky voxel world where your job is to both build and manage a colony full of loyal workers, all while fending off a nightly zombie attack. At first, it's simple. You dig some trenches, set up a berry farmer, and slap down a bed or two. But things escalate pretty quickly. You'll need to assign specific jobs like guards, miners, bakers, and tailors, and make sure that everyone has what they need. The game has a neat little twist where you don't control colonists directly, you assign tasks, and they follow daily routines like a well-oiled or very confused machine. Combat comes into play every night, with waves of zombies trying to break through your defenses. The Wandering Village. You're managing a small village on the back of a massive creature called Onbu, wandering across a toxic post-apocalyptic world. It's weird, it's beautiful, and it is surprisingly emotional. You've got your typical colony sim elements, gathering resources, building farms, managing villagers, things like that. But the twist is your whole world is moving. Onbu strolls across different biomes, bringing new climates, dangers, and opportunities. Sometimes it's nice and sunny, perfect for farming. Other times, you're crawling through poison clouds and desperately trying to survive. But here's the kicker. Onbu is alive, and you can try to build a relationship with it. Feed it, heal it, gain its trust. Or, just ignore its needs and deal with the consequences. Going medieval. Going medieval is like RimWorld took off its sci-fi helmet and went full medieval peasant simulator. The game starts with a handful of settlers, a grassy plot of land, and a whole lot of problems. You build everything from the ground up, quite literally. You dig down into the earth, build up multi-story forts, and defend your humble home from bandits and raiders who really want your cabbage. What makes Going Medieval shine, though, is its detailed building system and colony management without getting too overwhelmed. You place every beam and stone wall, watch your villagers cook, craft, pray, and sleep, and slowly evolve from a sad mutt hut into a cozy, fortified stronghold. There's a chill vibe most of the time. Of course, until a bunch of wolves or some angry archers show up. Oxygen Not Included. Oxygen Not Included is one of those games that sounds simple. You keep your little space colony alive. But it turns out to be quite the complex, hilarious, and occasionally terrifying deep dive into space-based management. Literally. You start with a few bright-eyed duplicants, your colonists, stranded inside of an alien asteroid. There's dirt, there's rock, and there's no breathable air. So yeah, first priority, don't suffocate. But then it spirals. You're building oxygen generators, plumbing systems, power grids, hydroponic farms, industrial kilns, and massive cooling systems to stop your base from becoming a sweaty, gassy tomb. The game is a brilliant mix of planning and chaos. You lay out elaborate systems with wires, pipes, and airflow charts, only to watch your duplicants pee themselves, eat raw food, and trap themselves inside a wall that they just built. I hope you found this video helpful. Be sure to leave a comment below if any of these games caught your eye, or if there are other upcoming releases you'd like to hear about. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing for more gaming content in the future. Thanks for watching.